Welcome to episode 2 of Ask Brad. I have snacks because that's what I do. I have water. I have some pretzel Pete's gourmet pretzel nuggets, spicy hot sour cream and habanero, seasoned USA, made in the USA, and some Inside Out Junior Mints. Limited edition. Okay. Y'all can hear me okay? Ask Brad. This is a segment where you ask me any question, video game related, and I'll answer it for you. Because a lot of people, when I'm broadcasting, have a lot of questions for me. When I'm playing games like Dark Souls, I don't have a lot of time to answer those questions. So, I have a segment called Ask Brad, where you can ask me all these questions and I can take my time answering them. I will say, I know a lot about video games. So, feel free to get super nerdy about them, because I probably know a lot more than the average person. Don't ask me in chat. I'm going to be reading questions via email, because I asked y'all in the last video to send me questions. At the end, if I have time, this hasn't been going too long, I'll take some questions from chat. Right now, you are just sitting here watching. In the future, don't send me questions now, because I'm not going to send me any that we'll receive today or afterwards. If you want to send me a question for next week, put Ask Brad in the subject line, and make sure you include what you want to be called when I do the segment, okay? Cool. I am looking at chat, and I'm looking at my emails, so, yeah. The first one is from... says, "Hey Brad, I'm playing the Graveyard." That's his name, playing the Graveyard. "I was wondering if you would accept my challenge to fight you in Mortal Kombat 9 or Soul Calibur 4 and post the fight on YouTube. No, I will not accept the challenge. Because I don't have... Well, I have both those games. But I don't really play fighting games. The only one I used to play back in the day is Tekken. I don't play that anymore. And I definitely don't play fighting games online. I've never played a fighting game that I've been interested in, that I've been satisfied with online play. That, and I just don't care enough to do that. Okay, next question. Hold on. Okay. This is from... No name was given. Let's just say Danny. Or Donnie, I don't know. What's your take on the direction that gaming/games overall have taken in the past few years? Good, bad, and why? Well, that's a long question. Let's just say the one trend that I really don't like in games over the past few years is that, like, everyone sort of settled in on this 2-year development cycle for sequels. And you, unless you're like Ubisoft or Activision with Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, but even like the games that we really care about, like Mass Effect, like Uncharted, that are these really high quality experiences, are saying, hey, in 2 more years you're going to get the next game, and that's not like, I'm not cool with that, because you get a revolutionary game like Uncharted 2, which took a few years to make, and then you get Uncharted 3, which is still really great, but it's more of the same, and I think it's because they didn't have enough time to really evolve the formula, like, say, an Elder Scrolls game does, because it takes, a bunch of years to make one of those games. So, take 3 years of development time so we can see something new and we don't get into this more of the same routine, which I kind of, start to hate. My fear with, like, Mass Effect 3, for example, is it's going to be just kind of like Mass Effect 2, but with a new story. I mean, look at what happened to Dragon Age 2. The game had a lot of potential, but I'd say its biggest flaws were it didn't have a lot of like areas to explore, and that's purely short development cycle. I mean, that's where that comes from. If they had more time to work on the game, they would have more time to generate new art assets, new areas, and that game wouldn't have been as kind of a chore as it seemed like. Anyways, that's the biggest trend that I kind of hate, that the direction that everyone seems to be going towards and comfortable with, and you don't. I mean, if you want to put a game every 2 years, then do something different. Don't do the same franchise. If you're going to do the same franchise, spread it out a little bit. All right. He says, hey, this is from Nathan. Hey, Brad, my name is Nathan from Ireland. Not in chat due to where I live, so if I was going to watch you live, it would be too late. Okay, well, we broadcast a lot. So, yeah. I was wondering if there were any concepts you would want to add to a Zelda game. Personally, I like the idea of an older Link with a son who could be a companion or a plot device. Maybe he was kidnapped. This could lead to cool puzzle dungeons, like inside Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time with Ruto, only with someone who's not useless. Also, it could have multiplayer, although I hope Nintendo won't. But getting off my rant, what concepts would you like to see in a future Zelda game? Ooh, this is a good one. Because I really hate how stale Zelda's gotten. Which is ironic, because it was a while since the last one, yet there's still more of the same. Kind of contradicts the last game, the last thing that I said. But even then, as tired as we are of Zelda being more of the same, I'd say Zelda Skyward Sword is way more different from Zelda Twilight Princess than, like, say, Uncharted 3 was to Uncharted 2, or the last Assassin's Creed was to the one before it, or the Call of Duties, etc., etc. So, I mean, there's definitely a difference. But anyways, on to this question. I've talked about what I'd like to see happen to Zelda. Some of those things that have actually happened in Skyward Sword. Some of those things have happened in Skyward. Some of those things have happened in Skyward Sword. Like, I want deeper RPG elements, but I'd say like take it further. Give me skill trees. Let me make my Link completely different than everyone else's. Make that upgrade system even deeper. Maybe give me randomized loot. Why the fuck not? No reason Zelda can't be deeper. People often talk about, well, but Zelda's made for the mainstream, and the mainstream can't handle that kind of RPG depth. They don't like it. But you know what? The most popular game on the fucking planet is Call of Duty. And mostly because you play it online, and there's like an immeasurable amount of depth. You could even consider it RPG depth and what you do with your characters in that multiplayer mode. So to assume that a mainstream, wider audience can't handle that kind of depth is a little silly. I mean, also look at Madden. Those games are also insanely deep. And those are mainstream people handling depth, you know what I mean? So there's no reason, you can't deepen Zelda a little bit. Also, take it into the future with Danny DeVito as your sidekick. We've talked about this. Next question. All right. Where are we at? Okay. Don't send me any emails right now because it's moving my list. Okay. This is from... This doesn't leave a name. Make sure you leave a name or something you want me to call you. Vigard Hagen asks, are you going to do any full Let's Plays of games on YouTube? It would be nice. I always miss the live podcast because of where I live. I'll remain in... Okay. We're not going to... Here's the thing. Let's Plays are kind of not what we do. We play live. If you want to watch us play video games live, then people are sending questions. Stop sending questions. God damn it. Please. I'm not going to answer your questions if you email them to me now. They're going to be there for next week. But don't send them now because it's moving my list. Please. Okay. upload clips of highlights that are clipped out by the community. If you want to make clips, you can. You just go into the archive on Twitch TV. You can create your clips, and I'll upload those to YouTube, or J52 will. But Let's Plays, we don't really... The thing is, a lot of the other people who do Let's Plays don't play them live, so they tend to be higher quality video feed. I mean, we couldn't actually broadcast out in the quality that you see other Let's Plays as. It's usually someone just talking to themselves. Ours, what we do is a little bit different. You know, we kind of play a game, we interact with chat, funny moments happen, we like to clip those out, and we like to upload those. It's probably where it's going to stay. I mean, if something happened to like Twitch TV, maybe we'd be doing some Let's Plays, but as it stands, that's not the case. Next question. Hey, what do you think GTA 5 will be like? This is from Tome 10. Okay, I don't know. Probably a lot like San Andreas, but a more detailed, realistic world like GTA 4. I guess. I don't really know. Not the biggest. Why is everyone saying in chat talking about archives? Oh, you mean the wiki? Okay, so yeah, about the last person's question who wants to know if we do Let's Plays. We don't do Let's Plays, but what you can do is go to the 4playerpodcast.com and click the wiki tab at the top, and community member or site member Ben, who you might know in the chat as School, he clips out the entire like broadcast, and you could sort through that stuff by game and see when we play what, and actually go back and watch all those. So if you're interested in watching the games that we've played way in the past, you can, just browse by name or by game. Watch them that way. Next question. Not the biggest GTA guy in the world, so not the best person to ask about that. Mostly because I don't really care. Minimum asks, in your opinion, what video game has the best soundtrack? Ooh, that is a damn good question. Hard to say. But you guys are still sending these questions. Fucking stop. How about if y'all send me an Ask Brad question now, I'm just going to delete them, and your question is never going to be answered. Awesome. Game has a good soundtrack. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'd have to think about it. I guess one of my favorites in recent memory was the Nier soundtrack. There's also been a lot of good stuff this year, like Shadows of the Dam has a cool soundtrack, and plenty of other games. In general, like the Ys games have really good soundtracks. Check out the soundtrack to Ys Odin Falgana. It's got a really good soundtrack, and I don't know. I tend to like soundtracks of games I really love. So, I think of like the Final Fantasy Tactics soundtrack. I love Hitoshi Sakamoto, and since that's my favorite game, I tend to love that soundtrack. But, I think that's good for now. Ben from England, Suck My Duck in the forum, says, what's your opinion of Super Mario Galaxy? Or the Super Mario Galaxy games? Okay. This might be controversial. I finished the first one. I played through half of the second one. I just kind of stopped because I wasn't enjoying it that much. I definitely respect them as well-made games, but I don't know. That second one I just wasn't having much fun with. I was getting more frustrated, I think, than anything. I know they're super creative, but I actually prefer Mario 64 as that's definitely my favorite 3D Mario game. I like that they created these worlds with the paintings you go into were like these little miniature worlds, and they had all these different ways to get these different stars, and you go back to them and you find another way to unlock a secret star in that area. And I feel like each area had a sense of identity, and you became attached to it, and you felt like you learned that area, and you sort of were able to, like, you knew every inch of it. And I think that's missing from Galaxy, where you have a lot of like linear disposable levels, and once you're done with that, you never come back to it. I think there's, that's just I just prefer Mario 64 to that. I don't know. Other than that, I prefer 2D Marios to 3D ones. There's something about the physics and the way Mario moves that I don't really like so much in 3D. Yeah, next question. This is the Orcadian asks, "Hey Brad, what do you think about Metal Gear Rising?" Well, when they showed it last year at E3, I thought it looked amazing. They sort of went dark for a long time. Now, Platinum Games is working on it, and I recommend if you there's been that official trailer that got released, but there's another thing that Konami released. It's like a 25-minute like mini doc about the game and why sort of the development of the original game failed and how Platinum Games is helping them sort of reboot it into this new game. I recommend watching that because there's a lot of new gameplay footage released and it actually looks really cool. But like Bayonetta is one of my favorite games of this generation. I love Vanquish. It was in my top 5 of last year. And I really liked Mad World as well. Like Platinum Games, they're all former Clover guys. The guys who made Okami and Beautiful Joe and God Hand, which are just more of my favorite games. Like, it's just a great studio. I think they know what types of games to make. I mean, they know what types of games they make well, and they do that. And I think, if anyone's going to make a Metal Gear Rising, like a character action game well, Platinum Games is the team to do it, is the studio to do it. Hideki Kamiya isn't directing, who's like my favorite fucking video game director. Or one of them, but I still have faith that studio has enough talent at it to where they're going to make that game amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. Tom asks, "Will you ever make another Cooking with Brad?" Probably. I think I'm learning some stuff these days about cooking. Been cooking more these days. Maybe that segment will make a return. Maybe. That's all I'll say for now. Charles says, "Hey Brad, I just want to know if you ever tried playing an MMO. Are they just not your type of game, or have you enjoyed it for some time and then stopped?" Okay, Charles. I don't play MMOs because I don't want to get addicted to MMOs. If I could really play any type of game I really wanted to, I'd probably be playing MMOs, but that's the reason I don't play them. I never let myself get to the point where I was actually playing a traditional MMO, but I'm older than you think. I was like hardcore addicted to a text-based MUD for like many, many, many years. Bad things. Also super, super addicted to Diablo 2 because I love loot. For many, many, many years, and MMOs are kind of all about loot and leveling up and getting, creating characters and customizing skills and stuff, and that stuff's super addictive to me, so I just don't play them. I would kill to have played World of Warcraft back when it came out. I would kill to play, the Old Republic. I would kill to play fucking any. I'd be playing Ultima Online right now if I let myself. But I don't. So that's why I don't play them. That's why I don't talk about them. I'm not going to be playing Diablo 3, even though Diablo 2 is... I've created a top 10 list, and it's my fourth favorite game of all time. So I do love that, but I can't play MMOs. Alright. Kyle, a.k.a. KK Piffy, says, "What direction do you think Nintendo should take with the next console generation?" Well, they've already sort of made their decision, and it's kind of to keep going in the direction that the Wii went, I think, and appealing to a wider audience. I don't think that's a good direction. I don't think they're going to be super successful with it. I wish Nintendo would do something like make a comparatively, just sort of wait and see what Sony and Microsoft does, and release a console of like a similar, power. I think that would have been the best thing to do with this console generation, since they have the market lead, but they sort of lost the respect of a lot of hardcore gamers. If they had released a console that's just as powerful as all the others, had full network capabilities, online capabilities as like Xbox Live, and third-party software looked just as good on that console as the others, then I think they could have been competitive, because really the edge comes to first-party support, and I still think Nintendo has really great first-party franchises. Who knows? Who knows what could have been the potential? Imagine a cooperative Zelda game, a Zelda game with online co-op that looks as good as fucking Uncharted 3. That would have been nice. And yeah, the Wii U's coming out, and I guess technically, spec-wise, it's going to be more powerful than the 360 and PS3. But it's like this stopgap. I mean, that's only going to last until the next PlayStation and Xbox comes out and makes it look like a fucking Wii again. And plus, the whole weird controller thing is just going to limit it from its full potential and probably frighten the hardcore. Anyways, next question. Hey Brad, what are your thoughts on Mass Effect 3 and BioShock Infinite? Love Sophie Dolan chat. Well, I'm gonna get both those games day one. Very much excited about both of them. I'm on a media blackout for both of them as well. I have not, since the initial trailers for both of those games, I have not seen any or read any piece of content about either of those games. I think those are the only games right now that I have a media blackout for, are those two, so that should say something about how excited I am for them. Hey Brad, it's Austin again. Uranium Bullet in chat says, I was wondering, what new characters would you like to see in the next Smash Bros. Game for the Wii U? Apparently being called Super Smash Bros. Universe. And what characters would you like to see return? I've always liked the idea of Smash Brothers, but I see it as a fighting game, and I don't have the time to dedicate to, get really good at it to play against other people, so I tend to not play those games. But, I mean, that's not true. I played a bunch of those 64 when I played a bunch of the GameCube one. Characters I'd like to see? Well, I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, and I hate that so many of the Fire Emblem characters have been the same. I would love to see, Hector or Lyn from Fire Emblem 7 in there. Or, just characters that are a little bit different. I'm tired of seeing the sword users. Other Nintendo characters? Wow. I don't know. There's so many. Wow, that's a good question. I love the crossovers and stuff. Do they have to be Nintendo only? I'm gonna feel like an asshole because I know there's something that I'm missing. Oh, how about an Advance Wars character? That would be cool. Like one of the COs. Like Andy or Max. Oh. That's a good question. But, the Owendon cheerleaders. Yeah, maybe, or one of the agents from Elite Beat Agents. I really like that series of games. Good question. I'll sleep on that one. Alright. Where are we at? Okay. Hi Brad, I'm Richard. BioLizard in chat. I want to ask your thoughts on Metal Gear Revengeance. More specifically, since the development got moved to Platinum Games, do you still have the same expectations story-wise? Since Metal Gear Rising was meant to be a bridge from Metal Gear Solid 2 to 4, or yada yada. What would you like to, and what would you like it to feature and don't feature gameplay-wise? Well, I've already said something about this. As far as story goes, I don't really care. The Metal Gear Solid universe, as far as story goes, has been so fucked. Has gotten so fucked. My favorite Metal Gear Solid game is Metal Gear Solid 1 and 3. I think those two were the most restrained story-wise, and I don't know. I don't really care too much about story unless it's presented to me in an interesting way, and honestly, I don't think it has in Metal Gear for a while. Um, it's going to be crazy and over the top. So all I can say is maybe this isn't a story, but just go wild with it, you know? Platinum Games game. I know they're not using the guy, but I wish they had gotten the guy who does the cutscenes for... he used to work at Capcom, and he did the cutscenes for Devil May Cry 3 and 4. And then he went to Platinum Games and did the cutscenes for Bayonetta, like the action choreography. I think he's probably like the craziest, most over-the-top action choreographer in the biz, and I would have liked to see him do stuff in the Metal Gear universe. Maybe he is. I don't even really know. So, yeah. As far as gameplay goes, just make it deep, make it feel right. I really like Hideki Kamiya games because he does a really good job of making everything feel and control just right. I think I can't even explain it. But he's not working on the game, so depth, you know. I love me some RPG elements. One of the cool things about, you know, Devil May Cry and Bayonetta is that, and one of the things missing from games like Mad World and Vanquish are, you know, the ability to buy new moves, to customize your character, you know, get new weapons and upgrade those weapons, stuff like that. Okay. Drake asks, Capcom has released Devil May Cry into the hands of Ninja Theory. They stated that Devil May Cry DMC is supposed to sell more than Devil May Cry 4, one of the better games of the series, yet destroy Dante's character and ignore the fans. What is your take on this blatant abuse of power over a game title? I see that you're not excited about the whole Ninja Theory thing, and honestly, I'm not either. I love Ninja Theory. Enslaved was in my top 3 games of last year, I think. And you know what? I'm like a big defender of Heavenly Sword as well. But what I love about both those games is not the gameplay, is not the combat. I love, you know, the story, the characters, like the acting and the writing, and just, you know, the visual representation of character on screen. Like, they do a really good job with that stuff. And of all the franchises they could have worked on, Devil May Cry is the one that they didn't need to touch with a 10-foot pole. So many other franchises would have been like great in their hands. You know, if Capcom really wanted to give them something, you know, maybe give them Onimusha, something a little less technical than Devil May Cry, that could maybe use, you know, a new approach to like story and character. But Devil May Cry is supposed to be over the top. Dante's supposed to be crazy and zany. Just hold on one second. Okay. DMC, yeah. Yeah, like Onimusha would have been a good idea. Anything else, right? But the one thing Ninja Theory is kind of bad at is the combat, and the one thing that Devil May Cry needs to have is good combat, good technical combat, and I don't believe that Ninja Theory can you know, keep that franchise at the standards that, you know, that it was at. So that's kind of a bummer. But you know, at least the cutscenes will be cool, I guess, but not in the way that I wanted to. You see what I mean? Like, the best cutscenes, I think, like, Devil May Cry 3 honestly has some of the best cutscenes I've ever seen in a video game. And that's because they're crazy and over the top, and because it has that action choreographer that I don't remember the name of. Maybe somebody in chat will say, that worked on, you know, the Devil May Cry series and Bayonetta. But I don't know, man. I'm just kind of bummed out because I really like the Devil May Cry series, and I think this is a bad direction for it. Okay. But maybe I'll start liking Devil May Cry for different reasons, as weird as that is. Hi Brad, this is Kamui from the forums. Since you play Final Fantasy Tactics, I've been wondering if you've challenged yourself by not using Orlando in your main fighting team, as once he joins, the game becomes easier by a huge margin. Yeah, I did. I have done that actually. And probably my most recent playthrough of the game, or my most recent playthrough of the regular game, I didn't use Orlando. I didn't do any item duping. I also didn't even use like calculators, because I think those break the game as well. I've definitely experienced that game without using all the things that break it. And it's still easy for me because I played that game so many times. If you do like Final Fantasy Tactics and you are interested in like making it challenging, I highly recommend looking into Final Fantasy Tactics. I forget 1.3, I think it's called, where like these hardcore fans have modded the game to make it like insanely difficult, to rebalance everything, to make everything sort of like even like they've rebalanced everything. They sort of removed everything broken about the game. They make characters and classes and skills that were completely useless before like effective again. Like fucking Rafa and Malik aren't useless anymore. They just removed the calculator completely and they added a new class, I think, called Sage in its place. They added so much more content, and it's like super, super difficult. So if you're a Tactics fan, look into that because it's crazy hard. Also, there's a mod. The mod is for if you have a mod of PSP or like a PS1 emulator, they have a mod for both the PlayStation version and the PSP version, War of the Lions. So you can play either. I recommend playing the game. They even have a patch that lets you play the PlayStation 1 version of the game, which doesn't have the technical problems that the War of the Lions has, with the script rewrite from War of the Lions, and still play the hard mode thing. So I recommend looking into that if you're a big fan like I am. Okay, Sean Brown says, do you enjoy being a part of 4PP? Yes. Next question. Hi Brad, it's Ayumi. I was wondering if you are planning on setting Silent Hill down, getting Silent Hill Downpour. What are your thoughts on the new Downpour game, good or bad? Well, I'm not a huge Silent Hill fan, as I said in the last Ask Brad, but I have played every game in the series pretty much, in the main series at least. But I will get it and I will play it unless it's abysmal, just because I usually play those types of games on the feed because people like watching me play. Am I personally excited about it? No. It's from an unknown developer. Everything I've seen about the game so far looks kind of bad. All these developers are kind of focused on who take a run at the. Y'all see that? Who sort of take a run at the series are all like, oh, we're gonna fix the combat. The combat's not gonna suck so much, and it's, I don't know. I think the best Silent Hill tonally is 2, and it shouldn't be all about the combat. It should be more about atmosphere, scare, and maybe telling an interesting story that isn't so stupid and about like a weird cult, which I know that is what kind of Silent Hill's all about. But you know what, the second one wasn't. And that one kind of had the best story, right? So maybe go a little more restrained. All right. Let's move on. We got plenty of more questions to answer. Hey, Brad, what's up? I'm Brandon. So do you get paid for playing video games because you have a lot of time to do it and you get all of these video games? I don't know if you get them for you to promote them or what. What's the deal? Haha. I don't have a lot of time to play video games. I have a full-time job and other things going on in my life, but I like to try to play them when I can. Do we get paid? Yes, we do. We have an ad contract on Twitch TV that lets our site get paid based on how many views and stuff we have. It's not a lot of money, but it pays like our site hosting, and it helps us with like equipment upgrades and whatnot. So I guess that's technically getting paid to play videos, but personally, it's not like this is paying my rent. So I have a job. I would like to not have to work, play video games more, but what are you gonna do? Snow Owl Sage. Snow Owl Sage. Here asking, what is one of your best experiences playing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword? Best experience? I have been enjoying most of what I played of that game. It's like there's these enjoyable chunks and then like 20 to 30 minutes of like this horrible shit. Maybe like stretched out to an hour. And then back to, hours of like fun. It's weird. I hate it. I wish they could just remove all the shit parts and have a much shorter, tighter Legend of Zelda game. And I guess my favorite part so far have been some of the dungeons, some of the one-offs that have some cool stuff. I don't know. So far, I played for 40 hours, and it's not my favorite Zelda game by a long shot. So, we'll see. Maybe the best stuff is still to come. All right, what is your favorite? Alec asks, what is your favorite fast food restaurant, and what do you get there? This isn't a gaming-related question, but I still kind of want to answer this. I'll allow certain non-video game-related questions if they're, kind of casual, not too personal like this. My favorite fast food restaurant? Probably Whataburger. And what do I get? Well, I don't know. Fast food? I guess traditional fast food like burgers and fries, yeah, it would be Whataburger. I don't know. Sometimes I get the chicken strips. The chicken strip combo with that Texas toast. Or as we like to call it, toast. Sometimes I like to get me like the patty melt. The patty melt or the Chop House cheddar burger. Oh, that's some good eating. I like their fries. I like their onion rings. I always get a large sweet tea. I like the sweet tea from Whataburger. It's nice and strong. All right. Wait. Dark Pirate Girl asks, what is your top 10 video game list of all time? Well, I'll tell you. Starting from 10. God, I wonder if I've changed it lately. I've played a lot of good games over the past couple of years, and I haven't really thought about this. I think the last time I had it situated, 5 through 10 might be a little out of order, or 6 through 10 might be a little out of order, but I'm pretty sure it's like number 10 is Advance Wars, number 9 is Half-Life 2 plus episodes, number 8 is, I believe, Metal Gear Solid, is Super Mario World, number 7 is Metal Gear Solid, number 6 is Final Fantasy 6, number 5 is Tekken Tag Tournament, number 4 is Diablo 2, number 3 is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Diablo 2 Lords of Destruction, Symphony of the Night, number 2 is Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and number 1 is Final Fantasy Tactics. Hey Brad, Valve has recently stated that they're going to announce something with a 3 in the title at this upcoming E3 2012. I was thinking that this could be a perfect opportunity for them to drop a bombshell on the gaming industry. What do you think the chances, in your opinion, that they could announce the package to end all packages? Half-Life 3, Team Fortress 3, Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3, and a new Source Engine 3. There's no doubt they would lose a lot of money, probably. I don't know about that. But this would be the game. Oh, if they did it all in one package? No, that's not going to happen. What? But it would be talked about for years to come. What is your take on this, and what do you think they will announce? Well, they're definitely not going to come out all as one package. But I think it would be cool if they announced all those projects at once, because sequels to those games are inevitable. I could see Team Fortress 3 being that announcement, because Team Fortress 2 is free to play now, and it's been super profitable for them. Left 4 Dead 3, I think they're going to take a little more time off, because I guess the biggest knock on Left 4 Dead 2 was that it was too soon. Portal 3, I think it's too soon. Source Engine 3? Is it Source Engine 3? I guess there is Source 2. Yeah, It would be Source Engine 3. I think it's going to be a new engine completely, though. Half-Life 3. I'm hoping it's Half-Life 3. I mean, I'm hoping it's Half-Life 3. I just told you Half-Life 2 is in my top 10. I don't know. What could it be? I could see them being little jerk faces, and I don't know. Gotta hope it's not Team Fortress 3. Not because I don't think that's a good game, I do, but just because I don't play online shooters. Because I don't have the time. Okay. Hi Brad, it's Julian L. Ray in chat. I was wondering if we could play Little Big Planet 2 together. Sorry bro. I just don't have the time these days. I'm trying to catch up on games that I wanted to catch up on before the Game of the Year award show. And I don't really play a lot of games online. It's because I like to make forward progress in games. And while I do like to finish the campaign for Little Big Planet 2, I do plan to play through that with Carlos. Hey Brad, have you ever played or know someone who's played WoW? Even if you haven't, what is your opinion on the game and Blizzard? That's from Joey. I've never played WoW. I've seen a lot of people play WoW. I know a lot of people who play WoW. I think it's probably a great game. I would love to play it. And I think Blizzard's really talented. Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games ever. That's that. Loot. What is the scariest moment you've encountered while playing a video game? Brandon in. And I'm curious, what game are you looking forward to in the new year? Oh, well, I'm looking forward to a lot of games. A lot of games. Too many. But the scariest moment I've encountered while playing a video game? It's hard to say. But it's probably definitely something from Fatal Frame. Probably why is the save point red? Might have been the most scared I've ever been while playing a video game. You probably know what clip that is. Hi Brad, would you ever consider playing Soccer Wars So Long My Love again in the near future? I know you did this before, and personally I love that game. And a lot of us would like you to play it again. Thanks, Anthony T. P.S. Love your voice acting. I would like to play that game again, you know. I did enjoy what I played of it. A couple of things. One is, that's a really long and, tedious game with a lot of cutscenes. Not a lot of gameplay. And while I do enjoy the writing and the characters in that, doing all that voice acting is kind of exhausting. Which is one of the main reasons I haven't been too excited to jump back into it. Secondly, it's really long, and I just don't have enough time to be playing a bunch of old games when there's a lot of newer games that I bought, I own, and I want to get through, especially because I feel like I need to be playing some of the more, latest and greatest, just because of what I do. Let's see. Rico Bullworm in chat asks, do you think Fire Emblem should try a narrative adventure game? No. While I think the story in Fire Emblem games are pretty good, I don't think they're good enough for that. And because I mostly play those games for the gameplay, I will say that I think that series needs, some major improvements. I don't think it's deep enough. I think, it needs way more RPG elements, way more customization towards its characters. Otherwise, just don't. If you're not going to add RPG depth, then quit pretending you're a strategy RPG. Make it like Advance Wars. But they give the characters stats and they have them level up. And one of the biggest frustrations with that series is the random number generator that they use to determine stats when characters level up, and that a character that you can really love in the story can become completely stat fucked to where they're useless in combat. And I hate that. And they use it for every fucking Fire Emblem game, and it drives me insane. And if I could have one change, it would be change the way characters level up. Maybe, just have them when they level up, they give you a certain amount of skill points, and you can distribute them the way you want. But also, if you're gonna have that, give them more depth. Get fucking skill trees and maybe a proper job class system. It just seems too basic still. Deepen it and get rid of that leveling system. I hate it. Alright, Ashley asks, what do you think of BioWare's choice to implement stealth in Mass Effect 3? Do you think they will get this approach right, or it will become more of a mechanic that no one will really bother with? I don't really kind of know what's going on with Mass Effect 3. I haven't been paying attention to that game. Purposely, I've not been paying attention to it because I don't really want to know anything about it. I think it could be fine. I think classes in Mass Effect kind of play a little too similar. Maybe if one build is focused just on stealth, that'd be kind of refreshing for multiple playthroughs. I don't really know how that works, but I don't know. Do what you want. Add some stealth, but just keep the RPG depth there, because that's what it is. It's a fucking RPG. All right. Do you? This is from Jay. It says, do you think the JRPG series, except for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and Tactics Ogre, since we know you love those games? Whoa! I do not love Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Fuck you. Sort of. Just kidding. But I don't love that game. Final Fantasy Tactics I love. Tactics Ogre. He says, do you think that JRPGs are going downhill? Do you think that Square Enix should take a break from JRPGs and pass the torch on to other Japanese developers like Mistwalker and Fail Plus, both of which worked on Lost Odyssey, which I think are really underrated? I don't think that's that they're going downhill. I think it's that they're ending up on like handhelds and not really showing up on consoles as much as they used to. I would like to see more strategy RPGs, good strategy RPGs. I would love to see them on consoles. But, and I think Square Enix does a fine job at making JRPGs. I think they just need to, it's fine that they take chances, but stop calling it Final Fantasy. Because, back in the day on the PlayStation 1 era, they had all these other franchises that weren't just Final Fantasy. And, some of them worked and some of them didn't. But they were praised because they were doing things different. I think by calling all these things Final Fantasy when they're really very different from each other, I think they get a lot of crap. The series gets a lot of crap because of certain expectations for that series. Ironically, even though all the games have always kind of been different from one another, but what are you going to do? That and, return to franchises that are kind of beloved. That, maybe they only did one-offs of. Like, I would love to see a Vagrant Story 2. I would love to see a proper Final Fantasy Tactics 2. Or just, maybe let Matsuno do something again at Square Enix. That would be nice. What I would love? I would love to see that team, that former Quest team that worked on Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics, and get back together to do which they did, to do that Tactics Ogre remake. I would love to see them get back together to do a new strategy RPG, like a new series altogether. That would be cool. Mistwalker, and Field Plus. I played some of Lost Odyssey. I kind of liked what I played of it. I've never played Blue Dragon. I've never played The Last Story. I don't know. Isn't some of that team former guys who worked on Shadow Hearts? I like the Shadow Hearts series, maybe. To see another one of those. Oh, I would just like to see the genre move back to consoles. Taylor asks, what is your biggest concern with Mass Effect 3? If you have any, do you think it will be as good or better than the first two? Or could it totally flop? I don't know. I'd like to say I'm sure it would be fine because it's BioWare, but Dragon Age 2 definitely had some issues. Just make it more like an RPG. I'm one of the few who prefer Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2. Because they stripped out too much RPG depth, which I don't like. Again, I don't really know what's going on with Mass Effect 3. I'm hoping it's good. So, I know it's got Liara in it, and I love that girl, so we'll see. Hey Brad, love your work. My question. You said repeatedly in the last Ask Brad that you didn't have time to get to all video games you wanted to play. Is this due to a large influx of good games recently, or the demands being placed on you by the show and other aspects of life? If it's the former, do you think the video game industry will be able to keep up this rate in the long term, or will it burn itself out? If it's the latter, what can we, the viewers, do to make the show more fun for you to produce? After all, we're reaping the benefits of your hard work and dedication, and we want to make sure you're enjoying it as well. Thanks, keep up the good work. Shane. I still enjoy this. I don't do it as much as I used to, mostly because there's a lot of other people who want to play games, and because I do have other stuff going on with my personal life. But yeah, I mean, there is way too many good games coming out these days. And not just that, but it seems like all the games I really want to finish before the end of the year are like crazy long. You know, like it's weird. Like all these cool games are super long, like Skyrim, like Witcher, like Zelda, like Dark Souls, like Deus Ex, like Xenoblade. They're all super fucking long. I don't have time for all those games. I would love to be playing Disgaea 4, but I'm not even going to bother because I know I don't have the time for it. Because it's probably the longest out of all of those. Jesus Christ. I don't know. I think we're spoiled. I think there's so many good games come out these days, more so than like previous years. You know, you look back on the NES, Super NES era 64. Even the PlayStation era, like really good games probably came out, once a month, once every couple months. Well, now it seems like there's 3 or 4 awesome games every month. I think we're spoiled. It's crazy. Matt, aka Twisted Mafu, says, "Hey Brad, don't hurt me, but here's another Diablo question. How do you feel about the removal of skill trees in Diablo 3? Do you think being able to easily respec your class at any time will hinder some of the game's replayability, since there will probably be no need to create more than one of each class? Thanks, Tristan Mafu." Well, I don't like how they removed the skill trees. At first, I definitely didn't like it, and after sort of messing with the skill calculator with the new rune system, I have a little more faith that stuff will still be really cool in Diablo 3. But I still have my problems with it. Like, there isn't as fine of a gradient of like skills. I feel like in the previous Diablo, you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna put 20 points into this one fucking skill, and 20 points into this synergy, and 20 points into this synergy, and I'm gonna have a build that just focuses on doing this one skill really fucking good. And you had the fine gradient to make that happen. While now it's just like you put one skill point and one rune, and I feel like your fireball or whatever is going to do just as much damage as another person's fireball, or maybe a little bit different depending on the loot, but a fireball is a fireball is a fireball. While in Diablo 3, you could have a guy who just went off the fucking deep end, and for some reason his fireball was doing 35k of damage, and if you were PvPing, he'd kill everybody in one hit, and you'd be like, well, how the fuck did you do that? And that's because there was a lot of depth with the skill system there and the loot system there that I don't know if this new skill system is going to support in Diablo 3. I do like how it allows you to sort of, have cool effects on the fly, but why can't that be like those effects? It's like, oh, you can, with this rune, this skill now slows enemies. Yeah, but I want it to be able to go crazy obsessed over this slow ability and make a whole build that focuses on slowing my enemies to a crawl, but you can't because you slap one rune in and it does the slow for 10 seconds and that's it. That's what I feel like. That's what it seems like. Again, I didn't play the beta. I just don't feel like it's deep enough. And yeah, he has a good point with the replayability. One of the reasons I kept playing Diablo 2 is because I'd be playing with one build, and maybe I might see another build in co-op, or I might see another piece of equipment that goes, oh my god, with that piece of equipment, I can make this awesome build that focuses around like this one thing, and I would go back and I'd do it and I'd be playing forever. But if you could just switch the rune on the fly and have a new build, then maybe you'd spend less time with the game, and maybe Blizzard is not gonna keep as dedicated of a player base as they had for Diablo 2. Who knows? Well, maybe they will, because everyone will be able to sell their shit. Diablo 3 is gambling. You heard it here first. Please refer to me as TDU Shelby. He says, I realize that you hate the GTA series because of Scooter Brothers. Well, I don't hate it. I'm not a huge fan of it, and it's not because of that. That being said, what do you think of GTA 5 and the trailer in particular? Also, GTA 5 is the best. GTA 4 is the best game I've ever played. That's just my opinion. I've sort of mentioned how I feel about GTA 5 already, so no, I'm not super excited about it. I'll play it when it comes out, because I'll probably want to see me play it. Next question. Hi Brad, I have an old school question for you. I grew up with a few games that was more story driven, and what I miss a lot today, because there's another focus in game design in these games. I remember playing Broken Sword series and Full Throttle. What are your takes on them? Your reflection, positive or negative? Could be a good way to introduce today's kids on games that isn't war games or gigantic open world games. Magnus from Sweden. I may sound old, but I'm only 24. Okay. Well, I do like story in games, but I really don't like old school point and click adventure games, because I think, there's production values were kind of through the roof as far as story goes, but I think that's because they were more concerned about like really good writing, humor, which is pretty rare in games. Like it's rare to be done well in games, and just like interesting characters and whatnot, and encounters with characters, and I just don't like the gameplay in those old games. But that's why I like the evolution of, say, that of like Double Fine, where Tim Schafer, who used to make all these point and click adventure games, started taking the best elements of those games and putting them into genres that aren't point and click adventure, like Psychonauts. I fucking love Psychonauts. I liked a lot of what I played of Brutal Legend, just a lot of these smaller games that they've been doing that still have the elements of what made those old games cool, namely humor. Other than that, I still think you can get a lot of the stuff that made those old point and click adventure games now elsewhere. Like, look at what Naughty Dog and Ninja Theory is doing. They still have this reverence to writing and characters. Same thing with Bethesda and BioWare. And they don't have to be like point and click adventures. If you do want point and click adventures, there's like the Telltale stuff, but they tend to not do that stuff as well as LucasArts did back in the day. So, or some of these other adventure game developers. So I don't know what to tell you, except I told you a bunch of stuff. Hi Brad, I want to thank you for your advice on Battlefield Bad Company. My question is, do you think that, like in Battlefield Modern Warfare 3, his multiplayer should have like cars, planes, tanks to ride in? Greetings, Tom, alias Tomb. Sure. Why not? But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Call of Duty should stay, on foot, and Battlefield should keep doing what it does because it's good at that. All right. Next question. Hey Brad, huge fan of the show. I wanted to know if you played Xenoclash. And if so, I wanted to know what you think about it. Thanks. That's from Alec. I have played through most of Xenoclash. I thought it was cool, you know? Definitely weird enough, zany enough. Maybe a little simple, maybe not deep enough. Had some segments that weren't super fun. But I liked what I played with it. I don't know why I never finished it. I just sort of moved on to something else. But, you know, yeah, that's that. That's Xenoclash. That developer went on to do the game where you roll the giant ball through art history, tower defense. I don't know. And I kind of want to play that too, but I haven't gotten around to it. I know I'm blanking. Somebody in chat will tell me. But, yeah. Next question. Yo, Brad. I just like to know your favorite horror games, not just based on how much they scare you, but for overall gameplay. I've never got around to playing any horror games, so I don't know where to start. By the way, I'm not sure if you agree with me or not, but I don't think games like Left 4 Dead classify as horror, as they don't really pack that much of a punch when it comes to actual horror aspect. Thanks in advance. Well, I disagree. I think Left 4 Dead is a horror game, a multiplayer horror game, but it's still a horror game. And it does have horror in it, you know, that the tension that you get from watching like a horror movie, I think is there in a game like Left 4 Dead, you know. Knowing that you're sort of never safe, knowing that there's something coming no matter what. And just sort of that, you know, scrapping together with what few bullets you have and what few health packs you have to survive. I mean, all those are aspects of horror, not just, you know, the genre, but, you know, games as well, horror games as well. Just a different kind of scary. And I think if we're talking about gameplay, that has some of the better horror gameplay. Also, the like Resident Evil 4 and 5, like or horror games with like gameplay that I really enjoy. But again, maybe you wouldn't consider those horror games. But I mean, even something like Fatal Frame, which I think is the scariest series out there, still has like pretty solid gameplay. I mean, it's kind of repetitive. It's kind of more of the same. I mean, the series hasn't innovated too much since the first one. But, you know, just the basic combat in those games is, I think, still kind of fun. Just, you know, running around, getting chased by random ghosts. Still pretty exciting. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I think your typical combat gameplay in Fatal Frame is better than the gameplay in your average, you know, horror game that isn't considered an action game. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That is not an Ask Brad question. There you go. Veronica asks, have you ever played the Dragon Quest series? If so, which one is your favorite and why? Please refer to me as Veronica. Ooh. I hope this doesn't bother too many people, but I think the Dragon Quest series is incredibly overrated. I'm not a huge fan. I guess the most I played of the series was 8. Probably played about 20 hours of 8. And I just kind of thought it was basic and boring and more of the same. Seems like there's not much difference from one Dragon Quest to the next. Granted, I've never played 9, and I know they're coming out with an MMO, but, you know, I've played a little bit of, you know, a bunch of them here and there. And that's a series that strives to sort of appeal to the nostalgia of the people who like the older games, and they kind of stay very similar. So take Dragon Quest VIII, for example. You know, a lot of people love that one, but I see it as a game with characters that aren't super interesting. I mean, they're not very deep characters. You know? the story isn't all that exciting, you know, which is fine if your series has like really cool mechanics and battle systems to back it up. But at the same time, I don't think the battle system in Dragon Quest games are all that exciting either. You know, why waste my time with that when I can play other other JRPGs for the battle systems, like a Grandia game, or you know, like some of the better Final Fantasies which have really cool combat systems. You know, anything. You know, I don't know. I don't know what it is that people love so much about the Dragon Quest games. The only thing I really like is I think they have like really creative monster designs. They're very punny. That's stuff I really like. But other than that, I'm not sure why it's as popular as it is, especially in Japan. I'd take a good strategy RPG over that any day. That's that. But then again, you know, I haven't played enough of any of them to really write off the series completely. But nothing I see in them or have experienced of them has made me too excited to keep playing. Alright. John, I guess, asks, do you think the Fat Master Gabe Newell will ever release the Kraken Half-Life 3? Yeah, I think he will. Doric asks, what is your favorite flavor of potato chips? Favorite I like chips. All kinds of chips. I guess it depends on my mood. I guess you can't go wrong with a good kettle chip. Kettle cooked chip, whether it's the Lay's brand or just the kettle cooked brand. I like, but again, it depends on my mood. I like a good jalapeno chip, and I like a good, you know, salt and vinegar chip. I usually get one of those flavors if I get kettle cooked. Otherwise, you know, one of my favorite flavors, they don't really exist anymore. There's this bag of Fritos. It's a limited edition. It was like Tim McGraw flavored. I don't know. But they were so good. I think they were jalapeno flavored Fritos, but they just went away and they never came back. And I love those. And man, I would kill to have them come back. Tim McGraw, make them bring out your chips again. They were so good. Alright. Andrew asks, do you think Dirge of Cerberus is a fun game? I have never played it. I don't think I ever will. Because I don't want to. I do like Final Fantasy VII, but come on. Hello, your opinion on Dragon's Dogma made me put my money down instead of Asura's Wrath. Anyway, don't buy either game until you know more about them. I can't say either game is going to be good or bad, but I'm definitely more excited about Dragon's Dogma. Anyway, to my question, what is your opinion on gaming companies taking series that are well known for one kind of genre branching out into other styles, such as Capcom speaking of trying to branch out into more styles, i.e. Operation Raccoon City being a SOCOM / Lost Planet style game, to bring in more gamers to the games. Is it a good idea? Or should they keep the popular series to that genre? Definitely branch out, you know? I mean, if it's a spin-off and the main series is still going to stay intact, I love to see experimentation. Why the fuck not? I think it's always interesting when a studio or a team tries something that they've never tried before in a genre that they've never tried before. That stuff's cool. Alright. Capital One doesn't have a question for me. How did I get there? Okay. A quick question, hopefully not too boring. This is from Archer. How important can a game soundtrack or background music feel to you? Are there any games that raise certain emotions or put you in a certain mood with the help of music / the inclusion of music on specific occasions? To name a few for me are Final Fantasy Tactics, Metal Gear Solid 3, Nier, Okami, etc. P.S. You might not remember, but you recommended Valkyria Chronicles to me to play last week. I actually had seen clips of 4PP playing, got interested and bought it, loved it, thought, though hadn't played the sequels, just to let you know. Thanks. If you have a PSP, Valkyria Chronicles 2 is actually pretty cool gameplay-wise. They introduced some new things that are pretty awesome. It's just a shame that I feel like it's a much deeper game. It's just a shame it was on a PSP because there's definitely limitations there. Music, yeah, man. I think there are games that maybe even mediocre games that are elevated to something more because of the music. I don't know what it is, but it's just sometimes good music can make me like a game more than I should. Do I have any examples? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I would have liked Nier as much as I did if I didn't love the music so much. I think if you do music right, you can care about a certain scene or a certain location more than you would have normally if it was done poorly. I'm not like Wind Waker is not my favorite Zelda game, but I think I like it more than Skyward Sword because I think the music helped give more identity to that world than I think any of the music in Skyward Sword does. That sense of adventure I get while on the boat because that music is so awesome is more than I get when I'm flying around on a fucking bird. And I think it has a lot to do with the music. I don't know. Yeah. Would Deadly Premonition have been as awesome as it was if it wasn't for its awesome music? Like the whistling, like Scramus suggested? Who knows? We're on the home stretch, guys. Hey Brad, this is Yumi the Dragon Girl from chat. I was wondering if you're familiar with Black Rock Shooter. If you are you planning to get the PSP game if and when it's international release? Well, this is probably the more obscure game I've been asked about, which I welcome these kinds of questions. Black Rock Shooter. This game based on this weird anime thing, or it's even more strange or meta than that. I can't remember exactly. But I think this is like a shoot 'em up, in which case I'm not super interested in it because I don't really like shoot 'em ups that much. Mostly because I think they're a little too simple, outside of just pure difficulty and bullet patterns, which is I think they rely on so much. I would like to see that genre innovate and go strangely deep in different areas that it's never gone before. It just relies too much on Twitch skill or memorization, and I don't really like that much. But I might be wrong about that game. Alright. Alex from IL, Illinois. One Mr. Boy in chat says, Where do you see gaming in 20 years? Do you think graphics can improve much, AI, etc.? Or do you think that gaming has almost reached its peak to where they could be done to improve games in addition to gimmicks like 3D or motion controls? Thanks, Alex. Well, sure. That stuff is definitely going to improve, Back when we were looking at Final Fantasy VII, we thought, oh my god, games can't look better than this. Or, like Metal Gear Solid. I don't know. There's stuff can always look better until it looks real. And nothing is close to that yet, so things can always look better. Not even close to a peak. Same thing that goes with AI. Same thing goes with everything in games. Can always get better, can always look better, can always run better, can always work better. So I think in 20 years we'll be surprised to think back and think that we thought what we did was its peak. All right. Hi, Brad. I'm Ice Cream Man on Fire. I was wondering if you could get a heart rate sensor so that your heart rate is visible on the screen while you play games so that people can see that you are not faking, and it would look kind of cool. By the way, I am from Sweden, so if you notice any spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, or whatever, you will understand why. Does that exist? Can I do that? I don't know. Is that interesting? I don't know. I would love for y'all to see me hook me up for that. Hook me up with one of those, and I'll play like a Fatal Frame game, and y'all see that I'm quite terrified. Although I've played all the Fatal Frame games, so who knows how scared I would get at this point, but probably still pretty scared. Because I'm kind of a bitch. Alright. The Orcadian asks, "Hey Brad, what is your favorite Metal Gear Solid game?" The original Metal Gear Solid. The first one. I also like 3 a lot. But I like the whole series a lot. So, yeah. And that is it. Nope. We have one more. Sorry. One more from Evos. And I'll answer a couple from chat. Gamer Beck in chat, Dylan from Illinois asks, "I recently played through and beat Dungeon Keeper and recently started playing Dungeon Keeper 2. Have you played any games in the series, and if yes, what's your opinion on them?" No, I haven't. But I saw they're on half price on GOG right now. And I think I was going to pick up the original Dungeon Keeper, but I don't really know much about those games, how deep they are, which one's better, if it'll run on my computer. But I am interested because, it's a Bullfrog series. And I like to do stuff that's new, so maybe if y'all can, maybe if y'all can, point me in the right direction as far as that series goes, I'll try them out. And that's the last question. So if you want to send me any questions for next week, go ahead and email them to me. The segment is really long, so I think I might have to start picking certain questions. I don't really know. If I missed your question, I'm sorry. Make sure you submitted them correctly. But, I don't know. Did people who watched it live find this enlightening, interesting? Would y'all like me to do this again sometime? Are my opinions on this stuff even that interesting? I don't know. Maybe I'll take some questions live. Let's check some of them. See if I see anything interesting in the chat. Should they make another Star Wars Battlefront? Because I really like those. Yeah, I think they should. Maybe let DICE do it. I know. Well, yeah. There you go. Let DICE do it. I already beat Okami when it first came out. Kim Jong-il is dead? Oh, wow. Kick ass. Is that real? My opinions on Level 5 Studio Ghibli game. Ni no Kuni. Ash Slade. I love Studio Ghibli. I love Level 5. I mean, I wish it was good. I would like to play it on on the PS3 game, but that game didn't do so well in Japan. The DS version and the PS3 version, which came out fairly recently, both sold pretty poorly, or below expectations certainly, and the critical response wasn't amazing. So I don't know what to think, but look at the original Demon's Souls. Didn't sell all that well, got poor critical response in Japan, but it came out here and it was amazing, so could be good, you never know. I like level 5. Is Capcom ever going to bring Monster Hunter Frontier over? No, probably not, and from what I understand, that's not that great, so maybe we'll have to wait for a proper Xbox 360 PS3 Monster Hunter in the future. It'll probably never happen, but we could definitely dream. Feelings on Final Fantasy 13 2 changes? I don't really know too much about it. I didn't finish 13, I kind of hated 13. Don't know if I'm going to play 13 2. But, if there's enough changes to the skill system, maybe they add some... I don't know. It just seems a little lazy. There's all these huge dramatic changes with 10-2. I think they're not changing that much with 13-2 comparatively. If it was super different, I would definitely play it, but the combat definitely looks the same, and I wasn't a huge fan of the combat in 13. What do you think of SOBA and that Activision are sponsoring it? Sponsoring it? Maybe lobbying for it? Man, there's too much conversation to be had about that. But I'm not happy about it. Let's just say that. Let's just end it there. Because I've been doing this for a long time. But if you have questions that you really want me to answer, make them interesting. Use proper grammar and email them to me. Try to answer them next week.